Today I want to share with you 10 great cheap fragrances that smell expensive for springtime. You can count on them. Why? Because the scent profile of them is expensive but the price is very cheap. My name is Mehdi. If you're first time here, I'm talking about fragrances and related stuff. If you don't want to lose my new uploads, I upload frequently. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoy my videos, I hope you do. Thumbs up, it means a lot for me. Let's see the fragrances. I want to start my list by 10 spots. Tag Him from House of Armaf. For those that they don't know, Armaf is a cologne, a copy house. They make similar fragrances or copy of other famous fragrances. This fragrance here, Tag Him by Armaf, is highly inspired by Bleu de Chanel EDT to my nose, but it is not 100% like that fragrance, but highly inspired. I think they couldn't make like that fragrance exactly because Bleu de Chanel is a very difficult fragrance, very difficult accord note to clone it, to copy it. So Tag Him by Armaf, it smells a bit more pepperier somehow, more spicier compared to the Bleu de Chanel, a bit on the black peppery side of that fragrance, and the notes here are more dried. For example, that freshness in the Bleu de Chanel, that somehow herbal vibe freshness is dried here. If we have mint, for example, in Bleu de Chanel, we have here dried mint, like that. A bit more dry compared to this fragrance, but absolutely it smells expensive, not cheapy smelling fragrance. On its own, I believe it is a good fragrance. True, it is not 100% like Bleu de Chanel, but absolutely not cheap smelling type of fragrance. Performance is average, 5 hours maximum on my skin, 4 to 5 hours, and 1 day on the clothing. But consider this Bleu de Chanel is also not a great performer. That fragrance is also maximum 6 hours type of fragrance. Bleu de Chanel is 120 bucks for 100 ml. This fragrance is maximum 25 bucks for 100 ml. Everything about this fragrance is okay, good, because of just price. Presentation, scent profile, performance, complementing factories, good because of price. I want to continue by a great fragrance from a great house, from House of Bentley Azure. If I'm not mistaken, Azure means blue, I'm not sure. So this fragrance smells blue. In fragrance language, blue means the fragrances that smell fresh, shower jelly, clean out of shower somehow. This fragrance is also blue. Absolutely, it smells aquatic, slightly leafy, slightly near to being soapy at the border. It's not soapy, but very reminds me of some soapy fragrances, but at the border, very beautiful. And some freshness of fruits. It is a fresh fragrance, but in the same time it is somehow leafy and green fragrance, not citrusy 100%. You can catch some hint of freshness at the top, and you can catch some aquatic vibe. Absolutely a fresh fragrance, but in the mature way, not sour and so happy. It is a bit mature and fresh fragrance. At the background I can get some sweetness in this fragrance, but when I say sweet, not like Paco Rabanne DNA extremely sweetness which you can find in the fruits. This fruity sweetness, leafy, and very great performer. Some says we cannot at all get performance by this fragrance. To be honest, by this fragrance I can get 8 to 10 hours easily on the skin. On clothing is very sticky fragrance, and projects also on clothing. It is not a wow, it is not a compliment either, but it is mature. If you are not into that headbanger, that youthful, sweet, extremely sour or citrusy type of fragrances, sportive type of fragrances, this is for you. It is fresh, but in the mature way, I have to say. At number 8 spot, again from House of Armaf, a very expensive smelling cheap fragrance, Armaf Craze. This is a cologne of Pegasus from House of Parfums de Marly. Similarities are 99%. That 1% I break it because of that opening of this fragrance is more heavy on lavender and a bit dried, but after 5 minutes 100% similar. Pegasus from House of Parfums de Marly is if I'm not mistaken 200 bucks for 125 ml. This fragrance is maximum 25 bucks, 30 bucks for 100 ml. About scent profile, absolutely sweet fragrance, very sweet, by dominated almond note, but in this fragrance you can catch more lavender compared to the Pegasus. It is sweet, almondy and vanilla smelling fragrance, like almond and vanilla flavored ice cream, I can say. Very lady pleaser, very complimentary. Scent profile of this fragrance is gourmand, edible, foodie. It is sweet, it is edible, mouth-watering, sticky, syrupy type of scent profile. That's why it is not good for summer. It is a very great choice for winter, fall and spring. Here springs in Denmark is even more colder than a lot of countries winters. That's why it is a very great choice for spring even. And I can get very great reactions from ladies, and I am very happy because it is just 25 bucks. Let's continue by 7th spot. A very great fragrance. I love it to the moon. It is not for everybody. It is very polarizing type of fragrance. From house of Lalique. Such a quality house. Encre Noir. Why this fragrance is not for everybody? Because it is extremely dark. It smells like drop of ink. Very woody, inky, dark and black smelling type of fragrance. Like the bottle, very dark and black smelling fragrance, like a drop of poison. Why not for everybody? Because I can see this is love and hate for a lot out there. Don't purchase this fragrance as a blind buy, but if you are into manly, dark, bitter smelling fragrances, this one is absolutely for you. It smells like cypress, vetiver, and this mix of them together gives such a nuance to you. We have notes, accords and nuances. Like what I can say to you, when it is not exactly the same thing and what reminds you of that thing, it means nuance. For example, here we have not 100% natural ink, but those notes like cypress and vetiver together gives you a nuance which reminds you of ink. So we have a very great inky nuance here. Performance is good for me, 5-6 hours. Man, look at this. This is natural smelling cypress, woody, bitter, very manly. I like the way that it smells, very manly. And man, 30-40 bucks maximum. You can find under 30 even on the discounters. Gift sets are better. Gift sets are cheaper even. 30 bucks you can find, for whatever reason gift sets are cheaper. Man, this scent profile for 30 bucks is very great deal. Thank you, Lalique. At number 6 spots, from house of Davidoff or Davidoff, Cool Water. A very famous fragrance, almost well known, well tagged. I don't want to say to this fragrance clone, because the perfumer is also somehow the same perfumer or collaborating together to make Creed's Green Irish Tweed. I don't want to say cologne to this fragrance at all, because I knew this one before Green Irish Tweed by Creed, and I have a lots of great memories. True, it doesn't change anything, but because there is some mutual perfumers in this fragrance as well, I cannot say to this fragrance cologne. Davidoff Cool Water smells green and blue in the same time. I mean fresh, aquatic and herbal in the same time. Very unique. Absolutely, man, look at this. Very unique, mature smelling. It is not a lady pleaser. You can please some mature ladies, but it is not for clubbing, for example. I mean, it's not sexy, but it is very mature, manly type of fragrance. The factor that I like in this fragrance is versatility. Very versatile type of fragrance. It smells like suit and tie, bow tie, tuxedo, also jeans and t-shirts. It smells like hanging around by the friends at somewhere in the street, or also at very great cocktail by a lots of Hollywood stars. Very great fragrance, both atmospheres in the same bottle. Very upscale, very casual, very great versatile fragrance. At number 5 spot, Rochas Moustache. This is new one, 2019 release, not vintage one. There's nothing about the vintage bottle, just the shape of bottle maybe. So this is very beautiful fragrance. It is a rose based fragrance, but if you are not into rose note, this fragrance is not for you. Rose note is difficult and easy, unique and not unique. Difficult to work because it is feminine, very difficult to make manly fragrances, and not unique for Middle Eastern peoples, for example, but unique and somehow exotic for European people. Here we have not that much florals, especially at the north of Europe. So it is unisex to my nose. This rose here is not manly. We have some manly smelling rose based fragrances, like for example L'Homme Ultime. Reminds me of that fragrance, but it is more unisex, I have to say. This fragrance is sweet, somehow dusty because of benzoin. Benzoin is a resin which gives you like hay vibe, like papery vibe, like dusty vibe. Absolutely, it is sweet, it is slightly resiny, slightly dusty, candy-ish, rose-based fragrance. Very beautiful. I can say to this fragrance, dressed up smelling type of fragrance. Very great, sexy, night smelling, rose-based fragrance. Absolutely very expensive smelling fragrance. Rochas Moustache. Next fragrance is from House of David Beckham at number 4 spot. So David Beckham Classic. There is other versions of this fragrance, but I mean the regular classic. So this fragrance is, I have the dry down here, let's remember it again. Absolutely minty, fresh, smells like gin, dry, slightly fresh, but mostly in the dry side. Reminds me of somehow Perry Ellis Red way at the background. You know, there is some Coca-Cola-ish vibe at the Perry Ellis Red that is here available way at the background, but it is not aquatic. Maybe it is because of cinnamon, but I couldn't see any cinnamon in the note breakdown. So it smells fresh, manly, and at the dry down it is less fresher compared to opening and more ambroxany, more woody, drier. So everything about this fragrance is 10 out of 10 except performance. You cannot have it more than 2 hours on your skin by first 20 minutes, half an hour projection. Honestly, I want to say to you. At number 3 spot, I have a very great cheapie, Tasmim from House of Rossi. Rossi is a Middle Eastern house, UAE based, and niche house because the only thing that they do is fragrances. Tasmim is floral, oriental, and spicy smelling fragrance. Floral because you can catch here rose. It is not rose based, but it is slightly dominated here compared to other notes. And cumin are main players in this fragrance. Rose and cumin, after that cardamom. So fragrance is sweet at all. Scent profile of this fragrance is sweet, floral because of rose, and spicy because of cardamom and cumin, but cumin is here 30% dominated. If you are not into cumin note, this is not for you, but cumin smells like wet soil on your skin at the dry down. It is very beautiful. Performer, complimenting factor, I can say 5.5 out of 10. My girlfriend likes this fragrance on me. Reminds me of Thierry Mugler's Amen in that genre. Daring and gourmand, sickly gourmand type of fragrance. This is also sweet, but not as gourmand smelling as Thierry Mugler. It is sweet, not that gourmand. So performance is 10 out of 10, price is 10 out of 10, complimenting factor is 5.5 out of 10. Tasmim from House of Rossi. At 2 spot, I have another great cheapie, Missoni EDP. So complimenting factor of this fragrance is very good. This is lady pleaser type of freshy fragrance. Reminds me of Bleu de Chanel and Dior Sauvage in these genres fragrances. From Dior Sauvage without that savage vibe, from Bleu de Chanel without that aggressive incense. Bleu de Chanel is not an aggressive fragrance, but incense note can be considered as an aggressive note somehow. Very soft but performer kind of freshy fragrance. This is more heavier on mint here. This is fresh, slightly citrusy. I cannot say to this fragrance citrusy. This is fresh by slightly citrusiness. It's herbal more. Absolutely, it is more herbal, minty. Very beautiful performer fragrance, very fresh. It's good also for summer, but man, this fragrance turns to such a monster at the springtime. Such a lady pleaser, cheapie, 20 bucks, 100 ml. Also gift sets, 25 bucks for 100 ml aftershaves and so on. Mission ADP. I'm blown away right now. My head is really turning because I am crazy about this scent profile. I'm talking about this expensive, outstanding, quality smelling cheapie, Cuba Gold. There is not any gold written here, but on the box you can find Cuba Gold or Cuba Original. It smells more unique compared to 96% of my collection. What is that 4%? Jean Paul Gaultier, Le Male and Amouage Reflection Man. Such a great lady killer, outstanding, manly, sexy smelling fragrances. I heard that this fragrance came before, so I cannot say to this fragrance Cologne, but very similar to Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male, I can say. Oh man, 75%, and to Amouage Reflection, man, 30%. Amouage is very complex compared to this one. Anyway, this fragrance is a bit less sweeter compared to the Le Male. You can check out my comparison between this and Le Male. I have that video, maybe I can find it for you. And a bit mustier at the dry down. Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male is more herbal, more complex, more quality, and less musty, dustier compared to this one at the dry down. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I really enjoy to spend time with you. If you have any opinion, suggestion, question, let me know in the comments below. I will answer you. See you in another video.